everyone! Welcome to my series of videos called Reading Reviews, where I read books from a particular year. And this year this year is 2020, and I have been reading very slowly. But today is one that was actually a new to me author, because I started following a bunch of authors on Facebook. And one of them was Allison Temple. And I had kind of seen a lot of her books, and I'm like, they kind of look interesting. And then I ended up winning a copy of one of her books, which was the first one, I think, in her Seacraft series. I think that's what it's called. But it is Top Shelf by Allison Temple. Top Shelf is a romance between two men, named Seb and I think it's Marty. I think Martin. It's Martin. I remember because he was actually one of the ones that made this book really good. But I did end up giving this book 4 stars. There's a lot of reasons. So the actual plot is that Martin is a former professor of, if I remember correctly, like LGBT history. And something happened at his university, and we don't find out what it is until about halfway, but he ended up leaving the hallowed halls of academia, and he moved to the same city, the same town that his brother Ben lives in, which is this tiny little sea-coastal town. I think it's called Seacroft, but I will put down a description if I'm wrong. But there he meets an artist when he starts working at a bookstore named Seb. Now Seb, I didn't entirely understand what his art was, but the way that it sounded to me is that he takes books and he cuts them out in such a way so that it kind of creates a little bit of a panorama scene. I hope that I'm right in that kind of description, but he's really good. And there is a lot of like give and take with this couple, because Martin is very, very shy and he is very introverted, while Seb is a very big reason why I gave this book only 4 stars, because he is infuriatingly stubborn. Like, I understand with his family, who are a very opinionated, strong-willed family members, but how do I put this delicately? He could be a dick. He is an absolute dick, and he does that as a the way I understood it. And I watched a live interview between her and Annabeth Albert where she talked about Seb and how the way he handles things is he's very protective of himself, and he is also the first one to protect others and put himself in the line of fire. So he will intentionally antagonize someone to get them to leave someone else alone. And the biggest problem that I had with him was towards the end, because, spoilers on this part, but the bookshop that Martin worked in and that Seb lived above had been set on fire by a faulty coffee maker, supposedly. I don't know if that's actually the reason, but that's the best response that was given in the book. And, of course, all of Seb's stuff is gone. All of his art, everything is just gone. He's got nothing. And he ends up basically pulling a frickin' vanishing act on Martin, who up until this point had been getting closer to him, and it seemed like they were actually going to be a couple. Well, then Seb just fucking pulled this Houdini act and disappeared. And Martin, being the good guy that he is, organized a fundraiser to help him get his life back in order, and he just comes in. No apology whatsoever for pulling the vanishing act, and just, it's like, hey, I'm here. Oh, I get a bunch of money for it. And there was no explanation for ultimately why he left to Martin. Like, it was told to the reader, but not to Martin. And it's like, kind of wanted that conversation to at least happen. It's like, hey, I do care about you. I'm just kind of messed up. So that was one of the biggest reasons that I couldn't give this a full 5, because Seb just royally irritated me towards the end. But it's still a really good book, and I do plan to read the second one, which is Cold Press, which features Seb's older brother, who is now moving to Seacroft as well. So I'm actually more invested in the brother than I was in Seb, but that's also why I like Martin better than Seb. But that's beyond the point. But anyway, like I said, 4 stars. If you are interested in reading this series, I highly recommend it, because it may not have done it for me, but it may do it for you. So, if you're interested, you can find it on Amazon. And that's my review for Top Shelf. And I will see you all in the next video. If you want to subscribe, go ahead and subscribe. I'll be happy to keep entertaining you with my reviews. Alright, bye-bye!